Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/slash Tales from Tech Support. In today's episode, more from aviation maintenance, COPYPASTA. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. More from aviation maintenance, COPYPASTA. Behold, I went and made a chronological ordering of these. One of the downsides to the civilian aviation industry at a large dollar aviation company is seniority. Being towards the bottom of the totem pole meant I was on third shift, working from 2100 to 0700 on a rotating on-off schedule that was almost impossible to follow. Average seniority to get day shift in my department, intermediate maintenance, IMX, was a 1984 start date, and I had started in 2010. Naturally, when an opportunity to work day shift, 8 hours a day, Monday through Friday for 3 months arose, I jumped at it. None of the high seniority guys wanted it, so a small group of us low seniority mechanics found ourselves with a rather sweet gig doing what were called reliability visits. A reliability visit is basically a routine visit where we take care of or modify systems with reliability issues. And for 3 months, it was an excellent time of learning, hanging out, and actually having a normal life for the first time in years. Only downside was when someone stole my Vivo tab from my bag in the locker room, but Dollar Aviation Company kindly replaced it with a brand new Surface after I'd reported it stolen. In the last month of the project, a trio of positions were announced in the continuous improvement group for 2 maintenance planners and 1 improvement guru. We would remain part of our department, just seconded to this special group for an indefinite duration of time, and could, at any time, return to the floor. It would be a day shift assignment, 10-hour days, 4 days a week, which sounded absolutely wonderful. I decided to go ahead and apply for the improvement side. I just finished my business degree the year prior, and was selected for an interview. On the day of said interview, my interviewer, a lead from my department who had disappeared into this group a year prior, asked me which position I was applying for, and if I was interested in the planning roles. Once I'd told him I was looking for the continuous improvement guru, which I said I was, on a lark. About a week later, I receive a call. My old lead informed me he'd selected me for a planner position, effective almost immediately. Over the next week I was issued my leash company phone, Wi-Fi hotspot and laptop, and began working upstairs. I found out I'd be working with a high-profile customer, Dollar HPC, on our maintenance repair organization, MRO, side of the operation, planning the checks for their aircraft. It was pretty exciting, all in all, as I would be wearing normal street clothes, would be working daytime hours, still had 3-day weekends, and could actually work from home if necessary. And if I ever got sick of it, I could head back to the floor and resume holding a wrench, which I likely would after a year or 2 of holding down a desk. In the meantime, I would enjoy being a part of my organization's leadership team. Within a few days of my moving upstairs, I was also notified that I'd been chosen for Employee of the Quarter on the behalf of the entirety of Base and Intermediate Maintenance, IMX, and was sent to the mothership for an award, pictures, and lunch. My name would be engraved on a little marker and attached to the giant plaque in the hallways outside our hangars, and I was told to take my wife out for dinner and submit the receipt. We ended up going to a very nice and none too cheap steakhouse. The email came suddenly and very unexpectedly in the late afternoon during my 3rd week upstairs. Our facility director was notified only a few hours before, but the rest of us in the leadership team were completely taken by surprise. The announcement was simple and straightforward. Effective immediately, intermediate maintenance will now fall under the umbrella of line maintenance and become separate from base maintenance. There were 3 of us upstairs from IMX, the lead, myself, and 1 other guy, and our first question the very next day was our own fate in this sudden schism we were caught up in. Our boss offered us a choice: we could immediately return to IMX, the floor, and our normal schedules, or we could continue working in the continuous improvement group as planners and the lead. I thought hard, saw that bridge burning away, and decided not to cross back home. The three of us were formally exiled from IMX and shuffled over to Base Maintenance, BMX, administration. Since my Employee of the Quarter award was for IMX and came so close to the schism, the plaque was never updated for that quarter, and as far as most leadership is concerned, never happened. I settled into my new role quickly, and was introduced to a new very special mod. Yes, you see that correctly. The VSWI, very poorly explained, have found myself coming back to every so often for the past 2 years. This was, however, my very first introduction to it. When an aircraft receives a standard modification, it is performed using a service bulletin. SB. The SB is basically the description of the modification, the instructions to perform it, and any testing and other pertinent information required by maintenance. My lead passed me the 4 service bulletins required by this modification and told me to study up on it and get with the head inspector about any changes he sees that need to be made to the paperwork. This mod was not yet FAA approved for this aircraft type, so it was still in the engineering phase, and we could request changes to the paperwork easily. I read through them the first time and died a little inside. The instructions were almost literally install modification piece per drawings for each step. It was obviously unacceptable. I got with the head inspector, and we rewrote the engineer's instructions to be clear and step-by-step complete with signature blocks for mechanic and inspection accountability, emailed them to him, and got him to change them entirely. And then we did the same for the testing instructions. It took a couple of weeks, but when $HPC showed up with their first plane, we were ready to go. At least, we thought we were. It was a minor detail, really, as far as the engineer was concerned. In fact, he didn't see why we were having any issues with the drawings at all. $HPC's aircraft, a Model X, used the same exact fuselage tube as a Model Y. The mod had been done successfully on the Model Y aircraft, and since the difference is mostly that a Model Y has 2 more engines than a Model X, it shouldn't be a big deal to copy/paste the same exact installation templates. Obviously, we were doing something wrong if the frames and aircraft structure weren't lining up with the drawings. Thankfully, the engineering firm had sent the engineer out for on-site support for this first-of-type install, and we were able to drag him onto the plane to look at things. Of course, while boarding the aircraft, he didn't pay any attention to where he was stepping, and put his foot through an open floor panel and the ductwork below, wrecking the duct. After making sure he was fine, we lead him to the installation site for the majority of the modification equipment, where he very swiftly learned that while yes, the fuselage tubes are the same in measurement, they aren't the same in internal structure. While he was being led back out of the plane, one of the techs installing the wiring runs and auxiliary mod equipment pulled him aside to ask an important question. "Installer, hey, you've got the wires running down the overhead ceiling area on the right side of the aircraft. We can't put it there. Can we move all of this to the left side of the aircraft?" The installer pointed up, and it was immediately apparent to all but the engineer what the issue was. "Engineer, can't you just move that duct over to the other side and get it out of the way? We never had this issue on the Model Y." Frankly, I'm surprised the engineer didn't just burst into flames right there from the looks he was getting. Allow me to explain. Down the right side of centerline ran the air conditioning ductwork for the interior of the plane as well as all the supporting structure. The left side had the majority of the wiring runs because there was no equipment installed on that side and in the way. On the Model Y aircraft, this is actually reversed, yet another instance of copy/paste instead of actually looking at the aircraft they were modding. Using small words, we explained the issue with modifying the system to appease him, and eventually, he understood. We escorted him back to his hole, and eventually gave us new drawings to fix his mess. Later on, at the very end of the visit, engineer was left unsupervised in the aircraft while the testing crew was up front. Deciding he was getting hot, he took it upon himself to open an aircraft door. Thankfully the slide was disarmed. However, it was a very windy day, and was caught by the wind immediately, and ripped fully open, leaving the now wrecked shroud he'd attempted to grab in his hand. He made up a story, was caught in the lie, and was asked to leave and never ever set foot in our facility again. During the visit, I was called by the lead running the $HPC aircraft visit, who was looking for a specific drawing for the mod. I did a bit of research and soon discovered exactly what drawing he'd asked for. It was for this mod, specific to Type DCCLX VII aircraft, produced by the competitor of the manufacturer of the Model X and Y aircraft. Once again, his copy-slash-paste habit had struck. I would eventually learn it was part of the engineering firm's culture. They burned through engineers so quickly that there was no one expert on the mod they were issuing, so I've been finding copy pasta from competing aircraft manufacturer versions of the mod for the past 2 years.